from Brush and Boltgun. Today I'm going to be doing the third Faces video. This time we're going to be working on one for the Salamanders. If you'd like to support me, my Coffee and Patreon page is linked below, and you can also like, comment and subscribe, which helps the channel too. Now on to the video. So this is the finished head that we're going to be working on today. It's got the bionic eye, which we'll be doing. We've also got that blackened skin and the red eye on the other side there. So the first colour we're going to use is Vallejo Black. It's a really nice matte black colour, ideal for every black that you want to do, I always think. So you want to give a nice coat of that to the skin, which I'm doing off screen here. You can also do this to the rubber seal, which would go around the underside of the helm too, around his neck there. So get that all nicely, smoothly coated with black, and then we can move on to the next colour. Next colour is Iron Hand Steel, and we're going to do all the bionics and the little bits around the back of his head with that. Again, I'm going to do this mainly off camera, so if you just imagine that you can see that and pretend that it's really well recorded and clearly in view. You can hear any background noise in this video. I've got a fan on. I try to keep the noise away as best as possible, but it's a bit of a sweat box up here to painting, so I'm keeping that on for the duration so that I don't sweat myself to death. So next up we are going to use a little bit of Citadel Mephiston Red. I'm going to use this to do the bionic eye. Not going to paint his actual eye yet, just the bionic one for now. Quickly going to move on to shades, so we're going to use Citadel Druchii Violet first. This is going to be just to do the lens of his bionic eye, like so. We're now going to use some Citadel Nuln Oil shade. I'm just going to use this to do the bionics and the metallic bits around the back of his head. Making sure you don't get any of that onto the red eye lens either. Now we're going to be using some Vallejo German Grey to start highlighting the skin. So like we usually do with the skin, we're going to concentrate on these raised areas and the details that are standing out from the general shape of the head. So you've got that jawline, the cheekbones, the nose, the lips, the chin, and then you're going to have some details on the scalp as well. Maybe like on this one it seems to have a little bit of a Y vein going on the front of the head. And then you've got those wrinkles that you'd have across the top of the head, and also the scalp. So you want to add these on, try and keep some of that normal black visible between all the different sections. So we've got like the crow's feet at the side of his eyes. You want to make sure there's like a little tiny thin bit of black between the German grey on the cheek and the German grey in the crow's feet and the German grey on his temple. So the next colour we're going to use is Citadel Mechanicus Standard Grey, and this is going to be used to do little thinner highlights on the German grey areas. So you want to have this on the top edge of, say, the cheeks, and the top edge of the creases around the nose and the face and the mouth. Now we're going to use some Citadel Mephiston Red, rotating it upside down so that we can get that eye done. Using Army Painter Insane detail brush there just to get that red on. We're going to reapply some red to the bottom left hand corner or area of that bionic eye lens. Now we're going to go for a little bit of Citadel Evil Sunz Scarlet, and we're going to do about half the area of the Mephiston Red on that lens. Now we're just going to put a tiny little bit on the eye just to make that stand out that little bit more. So you want to have that like Mephiston Red crescent, and then you want to have the Evil Sunz Scarlet smaller crescent within that. We are now going to use a little tiny bit of Citadel Wild Rider Red. We're just going to do an even smaller crescent on the bottom left of that lens. Now I'm going to use a little bit of Vallejo White just to put a really tiny crescent in that bottom left area of the lens and the spot in the top right. You may notice that skip there. That's because it took me absolutely ages to manage to get the brush to the lens with the paint dry, because it's quite hot, and also I've got the fan going, so it's drying that paint really quick. In hindsight, probably should have turned the fan off to paint the lens. But now I'm going to use a tiny little bit of Dawnstone and just going to do one final highlight on the skin. I didn't think it was quite as standoutish as I'd like on the detail, so a little bit of Dawnstone just to add a few little touches around those details on the face. That should get them showing quite nicely. Next we are going to use a little bit of Citadel Iron-Hand Steel. We are going to pick out those metallic sections, leaving the Nuln Oil in all the recesses. Now we're going to use some Vallejo Model Air Chrome. We're just going to do some highlights on those metallics, so I'm going to do the top of the ridge around the lens and the bottom of the ridge around the lens. Also going to do the top edges of all of the metallic sections, just to make those stand out a little bit more. Now the final thing he has in the back of his head here is a little wound of some sort, which I actually thought was a little metallic nodule thing that they sometimes have coming out the back of the head, but once I'd looked at it in proper light, realised it was actually a little wound, so we're going to lash a little bit of Mephiston Red in there. And I'm going to use a tiny little bit of Blood for the Blood God from Citadel. Just put a really thin trail of that down the middle of it, that'll darken that up nicely. And then the final thing that we're going to use is a little bit of Vallejo Red Wash. All we're going to do is use this around the edges of all those metallic areas and around the edge of the wound, just to give that faint hint of red, as though it's a little bit of inflamed and a little bit sore. So this is the finished head. There's more pictures of this after the outro, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It would look great on top of any salamander's neck. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Also, think about subscribing to some of our other social media, linked below. Thanks very much. If you like the channel and you enjoy the content, please like, comment and subscribe. My Coffee and Patreon pages are linked below. Thanks very much.